Welcome to the Daily DLP. I'm your host, Ash Thompson, and because I spent 2 days on the quarter post review, you get a quick and dirty preview of the Panthers offense and defense all at once. Wanted the Carolina Panthers head coaching job this offseason. They had traded away their best offensive player to the 49ers. Ben Johnson actually even turned down an interview with this team. So they picked up someone who got fired mid-season last year. The offense is the brainchild of that person, Frank Reich. He's the head coach and offensive play caller for the Panthers. He was involved in the largest comebacks in NCAA and NFL history to the point he made them as a quarterback. And he spent the final 2 seasons of his career with the Detroit Lions as a player. He began his coaching career as an intern under Tony Dungy. Climbed up to the quarterback's coach position under Jim Caldwell until all of them got fired when the house of cards that was propped up by Peyton Manning's greatness fell and the team went 12-4 in the season that he got hurt. Reich ran the Bills' K-gun, all hurry up, no huddle offense as a backup for the vast majority of his playing career, but as a coach he did most of his development under Caldwell and then Ken Whisenhunt. Caldwell, as we all know in Detroit, is an ultra-conservative offensive mind who innovates nothing. But in his day, Whisenhunt was actually a huge innovator on offense. Spreading up the defense, getting receivers into space to make plays, this was the calling card of the Ken Whisenhunt offense, and it continues to this day to be what Frank Reich does. Short, quick-hitting passes in open spaces is the bread and butter of the Whisenhunt scheme. It's become a lot more common around the league to play this way. Defenses know how to stop it now. But it's things like using bunch formations on one side of the field. That's all of the receivers in one spot, kind of breaking out in separate different directions, making it difficult for the defense to determine who gets what man. Just stuff like that is the kind of thing that Ken Whisenhunt was really the first person to kind of implement in the NFL significantly. Like the Lions, the Panthers do mix up their zone and gap runs to keep the defense on their toes, but their running backs and line are not anywhere near as good as the Lions, so it doesn't work nearly as well for them. They've really been struggling to run the ball. Through the air, they've got a mix of old and not very good receivers, with Adam Thielen as the marquee receiver of that group, that has DJ Chark and Terrace Marshall as the other components. The scheme relies on moving horizontally, not vertically, and getting receivers into holes that develop in the zone coverage the defenses are playing as a result of that horizontal movement. So look for a lot of crossing routes from the outside guys and other concepts that make the underneath defenders make a decision on who to cover, with the quarterback's job being to see what choice the defender makes and to get the ball to the other guy effectively. The main limiter on that is that they have a rookie quarterback in Bryce Young. And he is suffering the early hiccups that you expect from a rookie quarterback without the, let's say, extensive highlight reel splash plays that other guys like Anthony Richardson and CJ Stroud have been putting up to balance out their rookie mistakes. With Young, it's just bland consistency so far has been kind of his top end, which is not a particularly great place to be when you are basically fighting a talent deficit in every single game. The Panthers' passing game has managed just under 5 yards per attempt, and if you'll recall, I told you previously that the target number for that is closer to 7, but it's not really Young that's killing the team. He's just got nobody to throw to, and he's under constant pressure, but he has been getting better every week. Eventually, he's going to punch someone in the mouth and have that be his week where he reclaims having been the obvious choice to go first overall. This week, everyone's saying Anthony Richardson was the obvious choice that should have been made to go first. I'd like you to find one pre-draft prognosticator who said that. Just one. Good luck. Back to Young, his yards per attempt, completion percentage, passer rating, and just about everything about his game has improved with each start. So looking at his stats on the year as a whole is a little bit misleading, because the guy who laced up his cleats week 1 isn't the guy that the Lions are going to be facing on Sunday. He's still not great, and he's not in an offense that can carry him anywhere. pressuring Bryce Young without blitzing is key, because blitzing opens up more space, more holes in the coverage for those crossing receivers to slip into and for him to distribute the ball. Another key is that the Lions' defensive line needs to beat the Panthers' offensive line. The more distance between Bryce Young and a first down on third down, the worse this offense works as a whole, because they don't excel at getting the ball downfield. The Panthers' running backs and offensive line have been terrible at this point. The line can't block the run scheme. The backs don't seem to understand how to run in this scheme. And if you'll recall, Deuce Staley left the Lions to become the Panthers' assistant head coach and running backs coach. He doesn't seem to have taken the secret sauce of the Lions' run game with him. Young can pick up a first down with his legs, but it's not his first choice. He wants to play point guard and distribute. The key here is to let him do that and have the open guy be short of the sticks, and then go make the tackle before that guy picks up the first down. Making the tackle on his many, many checkdowns is that third thing. Like limiting yards after the catch is key, because this offense hasn't been able to get the chunk plays because they don't have the personnel to get that done. They have guys who can't run and guys who can't catch as their combination at receiver. So the Lions need to stay over the top and make the tackle on those underneath guys who can catch. The Lions need to tackle well. That's the key. Not super complicated. Those are your defensive keys for beating the Panthers, and so far everyone has beat the Panthers. With any luck, that punch in the nose against Seattle will keep the Lions from believing their own press clippings again, and the defense will show up and handle the squad that they should be able to fairly easily deal with. The Panthers' defensive coordinator is Ejiro Evero, and he's the guy who had that Denver defense that can't stop anyone this year, stopping people last year. He's a disciple of the 3-4 based 2-deep safety scheme that has taken the league by storm, originated with Vic Fangio, and it's given the run game its rise back into relevance after years of people poo-pooing it like running the ball doesn't matter. The defense is basically designed to give up death by 1,000 cuts because they don't believe that you're going to be willing to give that to them. You've heard me talk about this all year. It's the new big it defense that everybody is trying to do, and the Lions offense is specifically designed to dismantle. You likely know what I'm going to say the first key is. Feed David Montgomery the ball, and all things will go well. This defense doesn't have the personnel to run the scheme that they're trying to run because almost nobody does. Their best players don't really fit this well at all. They're playing against type, and it has shown so far this year. Against Atlanta, the defense limited their opponent to 221 yards of offense, but the Panthers' offense turned the ball over 3 times. You can't win like that, and the Panthers lost by 2 touchdowns. Against the Saints, the tale is told by the fact that the Saints' offense ran 18 more plays than the Panthers. One team had more sustained drives, so they outgained their opponents by 100 yards. But the Panthers' defense only gave up a total of 341 yards on the day. That's not too bad. It was the offense that let them down repeatedly, only gaining 239 on the day. The Panthers gave up 37 points to the Seahawks, and that's 146 rushing yards. And let's just pause here a little bit. The Panthers have given up 135 to the Vikings, who had been struggling to run the ball, 146 to the Seahawks, 134 to the Saints, and 130 to Atlanta. They have lost all 4 of those games. That is why running the ball consistently and sticking with it is the key to beating this team. They're not the worst run defending team in the league, but they're shaking hands and sitting at the same table at the we can't stop the run convention. Like I said, run the ball. All things will end well against this team. Panthers have done a pretty good job of rushing the passer, though. So the key is to get points on drives early, stay out of mandatory passing situations. Burns is the name you likely know, but that's only because Yetur Gross-Matos doesn't roll off the tongue, so nobody really talks about him. Frankie Louvu also doesn't get a ton of hype, but he has 4 sacks on the year from his off-ball linebacker spot and is probably their most dangerous blitzer. But even with Louvu, the Panthers' pressure does primarily come from the outside, with Brian, Yetur, and Justin Houston as their most effective pass rushers. Having the tackles handle those 3 guys and having somebody pick up Louvu when he comes on a blitz is vital. And that likely means a lot more of Jahmyr Gibbs sitting on the bench making fantasy football people angry. Unless the kid figured out how to pass block this week, He's a tell that the Lions aren't interested in giving their opponents, and that's why he's not playing. He can't do it. He doesn't get on the field. He just hasn't handled being the hot guy very well as a receiver, and he can't block, and those are problems against this type of defense. So that's another actual key here. Never take Montgomery off the field. No, wait, that's not it. They need to get Gibbs ready to contribute. Like, Luvu's coming 6 to 7 times a game, and you never really know when. You need to get Gibbs ready for him so that you can play one of your most dynamic players. Like, tape his eyes open with an unending loop of Panthers blitz package tape, throw medicine balls at him from random directions while calling out a play where that direction would be his blocking responsibility. Like, whatever you need to do to get him coached up to play, do that. Because until Jamo's up to speed, this is your most dangerous offensive player. And the offense has been great, but this can make it lethal, and that's why you drafted him. Actually, that's why you drafted both of those players, was to take this next step from a very, very good offense to being a great offense. But I don't think that transition to big play machine from death by 1,000 cuts offense happens this week. It just needs to start happening. They need to start getting Gibbs on the field for passing downs. That's kind of the beginning of this. Now for one that's less general and kind of more Panthers specific again, they need to stress the safeties when they're in that cover 2 shell that this defense is based on. Like Von Bell and Jeremy Chin might be 2 of the worst safeties in the league to try to run this defense with, because they're both good man coverage safeties and they're terrible in zone coverage. Like, Xavier Woods is the best deep safety on this team, but he's probably not going to play. The backup safeties are the spice of life for Ben Johnson. They've got 2 safeties who like to be closer to the line, and they need 2 safeties who can play deep. So when that shell's up top, the Lions need to get multiple players deep in a safety space, whoever's back there. And the best guy to do that comes off suspension this week. They've got to get Jamo deep on Bonville and Sam Franklin and watch what else happens to open up this offense. The Panthers defense might not focus on him early, but that'll change really quickly, or you'll score a lot of points. Either of those are good things. Like, this is a really good place to try out your guy without having to get fancy, because this secondary has not been great. Their best corners on IR and their best deep safety is probably not going to be playing. If Ben Johnson can find a way to get Jamison Williams, Khalif Raymond, and Gibbs deep at the same time, that is going to be problematic for this defense. Like, so far, they haven't really been using Gibbs that way, or at least not throwing to him when they do, but they've had him running routes that set that up for potential future usage. We just might not see it until defenses make a couple more adjustments to try to stop what they're doing on those plays right now. Again, this is the mastery of Ben Johnson, is he's looking 3 adjustments down when he designs these plays. If you want to know what I'm talking about, take a look at Amon-Ra St. Brown's touchdown against the Packers and look at the backside of the play, the receivers that have nothing to do with where the ball goes, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Have a great day.